In this video we're going to learn how to extract, transform and load a CSV file into a Microsoft Excel workbook. So in this video we're going to use a sample data set labeled sales report. So how to go about? So we first open a blank workbook. We open a blank workbook, then open it. Once we have got a blank workbook, we move to data. So once you click data, you'll be able to see a standard toolbar popping out. So from here, we want to select, I want to use the icon get data, or rather you can use from text to CSV. So go ahead and click this one, give it time to load. From here we select the directory where we're going to convert our data. So the data that is going to be imported comes from this desktop. So I want to click, I want to import this data here. So this data is in a CSV format. So CSV stands for comma separated values. So I click on this file, then I select import, then give it time to load. So this is what we call a by-default query, or what we call a power query, sorry. So this power query will enable us to transform our, or rather manipulate our workbook. Manipulating means we can make some changes in our workbook, or rather you can use the word clean. You can cleanse or make it presentable by using the power query. So at this point, we are going to transform our data before we now load into our Excel workbook. So I first hit on transform data. So and before that, we need to understand that these are data set, a raw data extract with a number of rows and columns. So from here I want us to select transform data. We want to transform our data. Okay. So the moment we hit transform, you'll be able to see our columns or labels. The regions is labeled ABC. So the icon ABC or the annotation ABC stands for data type text. So if you click on that, you'll be able to see a drop down list of command buttons. Again, so at this point you need to ensure that our data sheet or our table is assigned correct data types. So we move from the regions all the way or through to check on our data types. So for our date, it has got a calendar. We need to change it to date, and then the order ID, you don't need to require this one, you just remove it. So whatever you do in our Power Query, everything is reflecting on the right side. So anything we do, like I've just removed a column with the label order ID. As you can see, the column has been removed that way. So you proceed to unit sold. This one you need to change it to currency. Go ahead, move to unit price. Again, we do the same. We change this one to currency. Okay. And the column unit price or unit cost, again we change it to currency. That way. Not really. The unit cost, yeah, that's okay. We move to, so the new unit cost, yeah. So let me change this one. The unit cost should be assigned a type decimal number. Then replace the current. For the column total revenue, we change this one again to currency. That way. And on to our last column, change this one again to currency. So by so doing, we are now assigning each column the correct data type. So we are good to go. From here now, I want us to change something. I want us to move to column order priority. And this column, we are going to change the label M to medium. Then we do the same for the letter C to mean critical. H stands for I. That way. So from here I want to click on add column. Then I select conditional column. So in the menu bar, I'm going to select a column, then a conditional column for us to transform or manipulate this column, or to change the initials to the respective label. So I select conditional column. So once I hit conditional column, you'll be able to see a dialog box. So the new column, I will assign it a label. I will call it order priority new. Order priority. That way. Then I'm going to use what we call the if. So if order priority equals value M, the output here will be medium. Go ahead and add another clause. I test the net condition, else if order priority equals C in capital, the output will be critical. Go ahead, add another clause. If order priority equals letter H, the output will be I. Else long, then we close or hit OK. Perfect. As you can see, this column has been labeled with these labels or entries here. So let me now track this one. I'm moving it over next to our order priority, that way. Then I drop it. So as you can see, I want to counter check to see if it is correct labeled. Okay, scroll downwards to be sure of what I'm doing. Okay, so that's another method of replacing the initials here with a different or the full meaning relatively. We have another method of doing it. We can use the replace. We can just right click and then select replace values. So I'm going to replace the value, let's say M with medium, and I hit OK. So this is another method, but adding a conditional column or a conditional column is I recommend you to use the conditional, because this one you will be forced to repeat yourself more than once. So once you have this column, order priority new, I'm going to remove this column. I will X out. I will X this column here. So as you can see, the moment I X out, you'll be able to see under applied steps that a column has been removed. So I'll go ahead and rename this to order priority. I just remove the word new, that way. So the other thing I need to do is add another column for us to match. Like I want to match the region with the country. So I'm going to go about matching the region with the country. So I'll just go back to the menu bar, select add column, then at the bottom you'll be able to see column from examples, custom column, info, that way. So I'm going to select column from example. I'll just hit the down arrow, then I go with this one from all the columns. So I'll select column from example, then column from all examples. So once I do that, you'll be able to see another column added. So this is the column that has been added. So our task here is to match the column, the region and the country. The region and the country. So inside here, I'm going to type the first region, that is the Middle East and North Africa. So I type Middle East and North Africa, and then I hit on space, hyphen, space, then this one corresponds to the country Libya, that way. Then I press enter key. So the moment I press enter key, the rest will be auto-filled, as you can see. The rest will be auto-filled. So I now go ahead and select OK to save the changes. As you can see, the match column is now. So go ahead and replace or rename this column. I'm going to rename this column as country, the country, hyphen, region, that way. Then I go ahead and drag it. So I'll not drag it from this point. Okay. I now drag it. Okay, then I drop it at that point. Perfect. So you can see the region is Middle East and North Africa. So the two are now matched. The two columns are now matched into one column. So that's how we do it. That's how you can match by using the Power Query. Now, having done that, we now move to our last step. We can now move to our last step. So our step here, our last step is now to close and load. We now close and load. So for us to do that, again we move to menu bar, and then under Home, we select Home. So the moment you select Home, you'll be able to see a list of command buttons at the bottom. So I now go with close and load. There we go. Then you give it, yeah, that way. So I now have my workbook displayed. So on the right, you're able to see our sales report populated with 1,000 rows loaded. So let us now name our worksheet. Worksheet 2 we replace with sales report. Give it a label, sales report. So that's the name of the worksheet. Then to avoid losing our file, we go ahead and save it by clicking the file, then save. I use the save as. Save as. At this point, now give it a different. I'm going to save it under extract. So I call this one sales report. sales report new. So that's how we go about importing, then transform and loading it into a workbook. Thanks for watching. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. See you again in my next video. Thank you.